talk about localizing while you're on a campaign trail. Like you're following them around, but you're making sure you're staying true to your audience in Atlanta.
I had the last interview with Kamala Harris as vice president in Atlanta for a totally different thing. It was about gun violence and gun violence awareness. I had the last interview with her before she made up her mind. Well, allegedly made up her mind and decided to run for president. So it went from a local story, vice president's in town, to you got to talk to her before she decided to take over and run for president. And because of that connection, that local connection, I got to travel with her on all the press pools in Atlanta and some outside of the city for the next 6 months or 5.5 months. I was in 8 states in 5 months. This late in my career still taught me a lot about being present, having a notebook in your hand. I still keep one. Being able to ask people questions that maybe aren't the same questions in the scrum. Not sitting in the back of the room, but getting up in the front of the room to see it, make sure they know that you're here.
Localizing stories as they're happening, because you know how like on the campaign trail they're just talking about these blanket policy issues.
Yes.
How did you find your way to connect it to your readership?
Very lucky to be in, one, a very crucial state for anyone that wanted to run for president, Georgia. Two, having a large swath of readers, again, in Atlanta. Almost everything is going to come back to Georgia now. So it was easy to connect it when I wasn't reporting in Georgia. So, for example, when President Trump, who was then running for president, and Vice President Harris, who was running for president, were in Georgia, that made it a lot easier. They were here, and they spoke to the crowds about what affected them. But when I was covering either one of them in North Carolina, Philadelphia, D.C., Baltimore, is way too many. It was like you still had to kind of write back for your people, even though someone running for president is not talking to just Georgians. Being a crucial battleground state, it made it a lot easier. It was really good because I was in a alleged purple state, and it had to go up. So they always mentioned Georgia one way or the other, or I took an opportunity when it was my turn to ask a question to throw Georgia in the mix. You had to keep in mind that you're not writing a national story. You're writing a local story with a national bent.